Welcome back to the final part of this Cat Decision Framework series. In parts 1 through 9, we have covered the foundational decisions that shape a cat's life from the moment they enter your home through their final days. We have discussed feeding, training, enrichment, medical care, and the most difficult conversations about end of life. But there is one more category of decisions that does not fit neatly into the other 9 parts. These are the decisions about multi-cat households, where cats want different things, where your capacity is limited, where you cannot give every cat what they ideally need. In multi-cat households, the decisions become exponentially more complex because you are not managing one cat's needs. You are managing multiple cats with potentially conflicting needs, different personalities, different ages, different activity levels, and different temperaments. You are making decisions not just about what is best for each individual cat, but about what is possible when multiple cats share the same space and resources. Part 10 addresses 10 real-world situations in multi-cat households where the perfect answer does not exist. These are situations where you must compromise, where you must accept limitations, where you must do your best with imperfect circumstances. Some of these situations come from the cats themselves, cats who do not get along, cats with conflicting needs, cats with aggression or behavioral problems. Some situations come from your own limitations, limited space, limited time, limited money, limited emotional capacity. The decisions in Part 10 are about navigating these real-world constraints with compassion for your cats and honesty about what you can actually provide. These are not decisions where anyone is failing. These are decisions where you are doing your best with the circumstances you have. These are decisions where compromise is not betrayal, but is sometimes the only ethical choice available. Let's begin with 10 decisions that will help you navigate multi-cat complexity and help you find solutions that work for your specific cats and your specific circumstances. Comparison 1. Introducing cats with age gap. Forcing bonding versus separate spaces versus strategic introduction. One of the most common multi-cat situations is when an existing adult cat must adjust to the arrival of a kitten, or when a senior cat must tolerate a young adult cat entering their household. The age gap creates fundamental differences in activity level, play style, communication, and needs. Owners attempting to merge cats with significant age gaps often face the question of how much bonding to force versus how much space and separation to allow. The contrast is between owners who push cats together, assuming they will eventually bond, owners who keep cats separated indefinitely, assuming they cannot coexist, and owners who use strategic introduction protocols that respect the age difference, while allowing relationship building at the cat's own pace. This comparison examines what age gaps mean for cat relationships, what happens when bonding is forced, what happens when cats are kept permanently separated, what strategic introduction looks like, and how to make decisions about whether cats with age gaps can successfully share a home. Let's start with why age gaps create challenges and what the dynamics actually look like. Age gap challenges stem from fundamentally different needs and communication styles between cats of different ages. A kitten's play is intense, frequent, and predatory. An adult cat may find this exhausting and annoying. A kitten communicates primarily through play and physical interaction. A senior cat may prefer to avoid intense interaction. The kitten perceives the senior cat as a potential playmate. The senior cat perceives the kitten as an intrusive annoyance. Activity level mismatch is the primary issue. A kitten is active throughout the day and wants play and interaction constantly. An adult cat prefers rest and selective engagement. A senior cat needs rest and peace. A kitten exhausts both the adult and senior cat through constant pestering for play. Play style differences mean that what the kitten perceives as play invitation, the adult or senior cat perceives as attack. Kitten pouncing and wrestling is normal kitten behavior, but is perceived as aggression by an older cat who prefers to avoid that intensity. Communication misunderstandings occur because kittens and adult cats use different signals. A kitten may misinterpret an adult cat's warning signals and continue pestering. The adult cat escalates from warning hisses to actual swats or bites because the kitten does not understand the warning. Territory disruption happens when a kitten arrives in an established adult or senior cat's territory. The kitten is unfamiliar with boundaries and rules. The kitten explores and investigates everything. The established cat sees this as invasion and responds with territorial behavior. The owner's assumption often is that cats will eventually bond, that given time they will play together, that the age gap will not prevent a close relationship. This assumption is sometimes correct, but is often incorrect. Many age gap pairs never bond and coexist best with significant separation and individual spaces. The reality is that some age gap pairs do develop affection and companionship, some achieve peaceful coexistence with minimal interaction, and some cannot live together safely regardless of what is attempted. Now let's examine the forced bonding approach and what it involves. Forced bonding means pushing cats together frequently, assuming they will become accustomed to each other, allowing them to interact despite obvious tension, and maintaining them in shared spaces before they are ready for that integration. The logic is that if the cats are forced to be together long enough, they will eventually bond and will find companionship and will benefit from having each other. The owner assumes that resistance is temporary and that persistence will lead to relationship. The reality is that forced proximity often increases stress and aggression rather than leading to bonding. A kitten forced to interact with an adult cat who does not want interaction becomes more aggressive and more pestering. The adult cat becomes more stressed and more defensive. The escalation pattern occurs when forced bonding creates tension that escalates. The kitten pesters more because the cat is avoiding. The cat responds with more aggressive warnings. The kitten interprets these warnings as play and continues. Eventually, the cat escalates to actual swats or bites that injure or terrify the kitten. The damage to the potential relationship is substantial. If bonding is forced and tension escalates, both cats develop negative associations with each other. Even if later separated and reintroduced carefully, the earlier negative experience colors the relationship. The owner exhaustion from forced bonding is real, constantly mediating conflicts, preventing aggression, managing two stressed cats in shared space is emotionally draining. Many owners eventually give up and separate the cats. The outcome of forced bonding is often that the cats do eventually coexist in the same space, but with ongoing tension, with each cat avoiding the other, with no genuine bonding despite months of forced proximity. Now let's examine permanent separation and what it involves. Permanent separation means keeping cats in completely separate spaces with no contact, no visual access, no shared resources or spaces. The cats live completely separate lives in the same home. The logistical requirement is that permanent separation requires separate rooms or areas with separate litter boxes, water, food, and enrichment for each cat. This requires space that many homes do not have. The assumption is that because the cats have an age gap, they cannot possibly coexist and must be kept completely apart. The owner assumes that preventing all interaction prevents all conflict. The limitation is that permanent separation prevents the possibility of the cats ever bonding. If there is even a slight chance that the cats could develop positive relationship, permanent separation prevents that. Some age gap pairs that start with tension eventually develop affection if given appropriate time and space. The practical problem is that managing completely separate cats in one home is logistically difficult and often unsustainable. Eventually, cats find ways to contact each other, doors get left open, or the owner becomes fatigued from maintaining complete separation. The relationship cost is that both cats lose the potential benefit of feline companionship. Even if the relationship is not close, having another cat to observe, to be near, to acknowledge provides some social enrichment that complete isolation does not. The owner's quality of life can suffer from managing two completely separate cats. The home feels divided. Visiting the senior cat's room involves leaving the kitten in another space. Guilt often arises from the separation and from the sense that the cats are not as happy as they would be with more integration. The limitation removal occurs when the owner eventually must reduce separation because it is unsustainable. Often this leads to poor integration when it finally happens because proper introduction protocols were never followed. Now let's examine strategic introduction and what it involves. Strategic introduction means following a carefully planned protocol that respects the cat's pace, that allows them to become aware of each other gradually, that prevents negative experiences while allowing positive experiences to develop naturally. The scent introduction phase begins before the cats meet visually. The kitten's scent is introduced to the adult cat through shared blankets or through separate food bowls placed near a closed door. The adult cat associates the kitten's scent with positive experiences, like feeding. Visual introduction through barriers includes placing the cats on opposite sides of a glass door or using a baby gate so they can see each other but cannot touch. This allows visual awareness and curiosity without the intensity of direct contact. The timeline flexibility means that this phase lasts as long as needed. Some cat pairs tolerate visual introduction in days. Other pairs need weeks before visual contact is tolerated without hissing or tension. Supervised interaction begins only after visual introduction has proceeded without significant tension. Even then, interactions are brief and supervised. The owner is prepared to separate if tension escalates. Neutral space introduction uses spaces where the adult cat does not have established territory. A bathroom or hallway where the adult cat does not frequent is neutral ground, where the kitten does not seem as invasive. Individual spaces maintained throughout the introduction process. Each cat has their own room or area where they can retreat, where they control their space, where they do not have to interact if they do not want to. Play redirection involves the owner engaging the kitten in interactive play with toys before introducing the adult cat, so the kitten is less desperate for the adult cat's engagement. The timeline for strategic introduction typically ranges from 2 weeks to several months, depending on how well the cats tolerate each other. Rushing this timeline in pursuit of full integration usually backfires. The success observation occurs when the cats show no tension during visual introduction, when they groom near each other, when they rest in proximity, when the kitten no longer pesters the adult cat relentlessly. The realistic outcome of strategic introduction is often peaceful coexistence rather than close bonding. The cats may eventually play together, may eventually groom each other, or may remain neutral toward each other with separate spaces and separate activities. This is a successful outcome even if it is not the close bonding the owner hoped for. Let's address the specific factors that affect age gap integration. Kitten to adult cat is often more successful than other age gaps because the adult cat may tolerate the kitten's persistence more than a senior cat would. The adult cat has energy for interaction, even if not for play. Kitten to senior cat is often more challenging because the senior cat has limited energy and patience. A kitten's constant pestering is exhausting and stressful for a senior who needs rest. Adult to senior can work if the adult cat is naturally calm and the senior cat has some tolerance for interaction. But many seniors need peace more than companionship. Adult to adult with age gap can work if the cats have compatible temperaments. Age gap alone is less of a barrier between adults than when a kitten is involved. Personality compatibility matters more than age gap. A calm kitten introduced to a patient adult cat may integrate successfully despite age gap. An aggressive or high-energy kitten introduced to any older cat may not. Previous experience with other cats affects adjustment. A kitten who was socialized with adult cats early has better success with age gap integration than a kitten who has only lived alone. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Strategic introduction is appropriate when both cats show at least some tolerance of the other. The owner has patience and time to follow proper protocols. The cats are not showing serious aggression. Integration is attempted at the beginning of living together. The goal is to build the best possible relationship, given the age gap. Separate spaces are appropriate when The cats show serious aggression toward each other. The age gap is extreme, and activity levels are completely incompatible. One cat is being injured or severely stressed by the other. The introduction has failed despite proper protocol. The owner's space allows genuine separation. Forced bonding should be abandoned when tension is escalating rather than decreasing. One cat is showing fear or stress from forced proximity. The cats are not progressing toward tolerance. Multiple weeks of proximity have not improved the situation. The verdict: strategic introduction. Following proper protocols respects both cats' needs and provides the best chance for successful integration when age gap cats must share a home. Forced bonding often backfires by creating negative associations and stress that prevent the very bonding the owner hoped for. Permanent separation is sometimes necessary but should not be the default assumption before properly attempting introduction. The realistic goal for age gap cats is often peaceful coexistence rather than close bonding. Coexistence where the cats tolerate each other, where both can move freely through the home, and where stress is minimized is successful outcome. If you are bringing a kitten into an adult or senior cat's home, invest time in proper introduction protocols. Do not rush toward full integration. Do not force the cats together before the resident cat has shown tolerance. Allow weeks or months for proper adjustment. Understand that your senior cat's need for peace may be more important than the potential benefit of a kitten's companionship. If the senior cat is stressed by a kitten's presence, the kitten may not be appropriate for your household regardless of how much you wanted feline companionship for the senior. Conversely, if you see signs of positive tolerance, curiosity, lack of hissing, eventual willingness to rest near each other, continue the introduction slowly. Some age gap pairs develop genuine affection given appropriate time. Do not equate lack of close bonding with failed integration. If the cats coexist peacefully, if each can move through the home without fear, if stress is minimal, the integration is successful even if the cats are not playing together or grooming each other. The age gap is just one factor in whether cats can live together successfully. Personality compatibility, introduction protocol, individual temperament, and owner patience matter far more than age alone. Comparison 2. Territorial aggression, environmental separation versus medication versus rehoming. Territorial aggression between cats in a multi-cat household is one of the most stressful situations for owners and one of the most destructive to the cat's well-being. When cats display territorial aggression, including blocking access to resources, attacking another cat, preventing another cat from moving freely through shared spaces, or displaying constant tension and threat, the household becomes a place of fear rather than comfort for at least one of the cats. Owners facing territorial aggression struggle with the decision of whether to manage the aggression through environmental separation, where cats are kept in different spaces and resources are duplicated, whether to address the aggression through medication that reduces territorial drive or anxiety, or whether to accept that the cats cannot coexist and to rehome one of the cats to a different household where they can be the only cat or can live with compatible cats. This comparison examines what territorial aggression actually is, why it occurs, what each management approach accomplishes, what the costs and benefits are, and how to recognize when aggression is manageable versus when it is severe enough that rehoming becomes the kindest option. Let's start with what territorial aggression is and why it occurs. Territorial aggression is when one cat or multiple cats display aggressive behavior motivated by defensive territory. The cat may block hallways to prevent the other cat from passing. The cat may attack the other cat repeatedly. The cat may prevent the other cat from accessing litter boxes, food, or water. The territorial cat displays aggressive posture, including flattened ears, dilated pupils, raised hackles, and may hiss, growl, or attack on sight. The evolutionary basis is that in the wild, cats defend territory for survival. Territory contains resources including hunting areas, water sources, resting places. Cats who defend territory successfully have access to resources. Cats who fail to defend territory must leave or starve. This evolutionary drive persists in domestic cats. The domestic reality is that domestic cats do not need to defend territory for survival because owners provide resources. Yet the territorial drive remains hardwired. Some cats are more territorial than others. Some are triggered to territorial aggression by the presence of other cats. Some manage living with other cats without significant aggression. The trigger factors for territorial aggression include that the cat perceives insufficient resources and must compete. The cat was not socialized to living with other cats early in life. The cat has previous experience of conflict or threat from other cats, or the cat has naturally high territorial drive. The escalation pattern often begins with one cat blocking access to resources while the other cat tries to reach them. If the blocked cat backs away, the territorial cat may be satisfied. But if the blocked cat tries to pass, conflict escalates. With repeated conflicts, both cats become more tense and more aggressive. The stress effects on both cats are substantial. The territorial aggressor is in constant vigilance, constantly patrolling and defending, with elevated stress hormones and constant alertness. The blocked cat is in constant stress from being prevented from accessing needs, from fear of the other cat, from having no safe space. The household impact is that a household with territorial aggression becomes a place of tension where both cats are stressed, where the owner is constantly mediating conflict, where visits to the veterinarian become necessary because of fight injuries, where harmony is impossible. Now let's examine environmental separation and what it involves. Environmental separation means dividing the home so that the territorial aggressor and the blocked cat have separate territories with no shared space. Each cat has their own room or area with their own litter box, food, water, and enrichment. The logistics require that the home has enough space to create separate territories. A one-bedroom apartment cannot truly separate two cats. A house with multiple rooms can often accommodate separation. The resource duplication means providing multiple litter boxes, multiple food stations, multiple water sources so each cat can access what they need without encountering the other cat. The timeline for separation is indefinite. Environmental separation often becomes permanent because once established, trying to reintegrate cats after months of separation often fails. The benefit is that both cats can live without fear and stress. Each cat can access resources without being blocked. Each cat can rest and move freely within their territory. The drawback is that the cats cannot move freely through the entire home, cannot explore all spaces, and are confined to separate areas. The home is divided. One cat may feel the division more than the other. The owner burden is substantial. The owner must manage two separate territories, must ensure neither cat somehow accesses the other's space, must clean two separate litter boxes, must feed them separately to prevent conflict. The long-term sustainability question is whether the owner can manage permanent separation indefinitely. Some owners find that managing two separate territories becomes unsustainable over time. The relationship outcome is that the cats remain separate. They do not bond. They do not interact positively. They exist in the same home, but in different worlds. Some owners accept this. Some owners eventually decide separation is not working. The reintegration possibility is that sometimes after weeks or months of separation, the cats can be reintroduced carefully using proper protocols. But this is not guaranteed to succeed and may require professional behavior consultation. Now let's examine medication approaches and what they involve. Behavioral medications, including anti-anxiety medications or medications that reduce territorial drive, can sometimes decrease aggression. Medications like fluoxetine or other SSRIs can reduce aggression related to anxiety or territorial behavior. The mechanism is that these medications work on serotonin pathways that influence aggression and territorial behavior. They do not eliminate the cat's territorial nature, but may reduce the expression of that territoriality. The medication goal is not to make the cats bond, but to reduce aggression enough that coexistence becomes possible without constant fighting or blocking. The trial timeline for medication is typically 4 to 8 weeks to assess whether the medication is reducing aggression meaningfully. The success rate varies. Some cats show measurable reduction in aggression with medication. Others show minimal change. Some show side effects, including lethargy or behavior changes that are problematic. The limitation is that medication may reduce aggression, but often does not eliminate it. The cat may still display territorial behavior, just with less intensity. The combination approach, where medication is combined with environmental management, often works better than medication alone. The medication reduces aggression intensity, while environmental separation prevents the most serious conflicts. The long-term question is whether medication can be discontinued after aggression decreases, or whether it must continue indefinitely. Many cats require ongoing medication to maintain reduced aggression. The cost consideration is that behavioral medication is ongoing, expensive over time, and requires veterinary visits for monitoring and refills. The ethical consideration is whether medicating a cat to live in an incompatible situation is kindness or is forcing coexistence through pharmaceutical means. Now let's examine rehoming and what it involves. Rehoming means finding a different household where one of the cats can live, either as a solo cat or with cats they are compatible with. The practical challenge is that rehoming an adult cat, especially a cat with aggression issues, is difficult. Many rescue organizations are at capacity. Finding a home willing to take an adult cat is harder than placing a kitten. The ethical consideration is that rehoming removes one cat from the original home and places them in an uncertain situation. The cat must adjust to a new home, new owner, potentially new cats. The transition is stressful. The benefit is that the remaining cat can live without territorial stress, without fear, without the need for separation or medication. If the rehomed cat goes to a suitable home, they may thrive as a solo cat or with compatible cats. The guilt that many owners experience from rehoming is substantial. Many owners feel they have failed the cat by sending them away. The success depends on finding the right home. A cat who shows territorial aggression in one home with one cat may be completely peaceful as a solo cat in a different home, or may thrive with a very compatible cat. The rehoming process involves being honest with rescue organizations or potential adopters about the cat's aggression. Hiding this information leads to the cat being returned or kept in an unsuitable situation. The acceptance of rehoming sometimes comes after owners have tried environmental separation or medication and found that neither is working. At that point, rehoming becomes the kindest option. Let's address how to assess the severity of territorial aggression and what that means for management options. Mild territorial aggression includes occasional hissing, occasional blocking of resources, but no serious fighting or injury is often manageable through environmental management or medication. Moderate aggression, including frequent confrontations, occasional injuries, serious tension, may require combination approaches of environmental separation and medication. Severe aggression, including regular serious fighting, repeated injuries, severe stress to one or both cats, one cat in constant fear, often cannot be managed adequately without separation or rehoming. Risk assessment includes whether anyone is being injured, whether one cat is completely blocked from accessing resources, whether either cat shows fear or stress that prevents normal behavior, whether the situation is escalating over time. The trial period involves attempting environmental separation or medication for a defined period, 4 to 8 weeks, and assessing whether meaningful improvement occurs. If no improvement, escalation to rehoming becomes appropriate. The professional consultation with a veterinary behaviorist can help assess whether aggression is manageable or whether rehoming is the kindest option. Let's examine when each approach is appropriate. Environmental separation is appropriate when the home has adequate space for true separation. Both cats show aggression, rather than one cat being the sole aggressor. The owner can sustain management of two separate territories long-term. Neither cat is being seriously injured. Medication has not been effective or is not an option. Medication is appropriate when The aggression appears anxiety or stress-driven, rather than purely territorial. The owner wants to attempt coexistence before resorting to separation. The cat shows other behavioral issues amenable to medication. Combination with environmental management is possible. Trial period shows meaningful improvement. Rehoming is appropriate when aggression is severe and one or both cats are suffering. Environmental separation is unsustainable. Long-term medication has not reduced aggression meaningfully. One cat is in constant fear and stress cannot be relieved. The owner honestly cannot manage the situation. The verdict environmental separation can work for some territorial aggression situations and allows both cats to live without fear and stress, but requires sustained commitment and adequate home space. Medication can reduce aggression severity when anxiety or stress plays a role, but often requires long-term use in combination with environmental management. Rehoming, while emotionally difficult, is sometimes the kindest option when territorial aggression is severe and other management approaches are not working or are unsustainable. The key is honest assessment of whether the current situation is manageable or whether it is causing ongoing suffering that management cannot relieve. If your cats show territorial aggression, consult with a veterinary behaviorist before making any definitive decisions. Professional assessment can help determine whether management is possible or whether rehoming is truly the kindest option. Do not assume that all territorial aggression can be managed. Some cats are incompatible, and coexistence causes ongoing suffering that no management technique can adequately address. If you choose environmental separation, commit to it fully or be willing to reassess regularly. Separation that you cannot sustain indefinitely will eventually fail, and cats will be returned to conflict. If medication is prescribed, understand that it is a trial. If after 6 to 8 weeks the cat shows no meaningful improvement, continuation is unlikely to help and should be discontinued. If rehoming becomes necessary, be honest about the cat's behavior with potential adopters. A cat unsuitable for multi-cat living may be perfect as a solo cat. Transparency allows the cat to find an appropriate home. Many owners report that rehoming an aggressive cat, while emotionally difficult at the time, was the decision that finally allowed both the remaining cat and the rehomed cat to thrive. Do not let guilt prevent making the decision that serves your cat's actual well-being. Comparison 3. Feeding aggression in multi-cat, separate feeding versus timed access versus limiting food. Feeding time in multi-cat households is often when tensions peak and when cats display their most serious aggression. One cat may guard food or water bowls, preventing other cats from accessing them. One cat may eat so rapidly and aggressively that other cats are intimidated and cannot approach the food. One cat may steal food from other cats' bowls. Food guarding can become so intense that cats are injured during feeding time, that some cats become malnourished because they cannot access food safely, or that feeding time becomes a source of constant conflict and stress. Owners managing feeding aggression must choose between completely separating feeding areas so cats never eat near each other, implementing timed feeding where food is available only at specific times and is removed between feedings, or limiting the amount of food available so competition is reduced. This comparison examines what feeding aggression is, why it occurs, what each management approach accomplishes, what the drawbacks are, and how to choose an approach that prevents conflict while ensuring all cats are adequately nourished. Let's start with what feeding aggression is and why it occurs. Feeding. Aggression is when a cat displays aggressive behavior around food. This can include blocking other cats from accessing the food bowl, eating so rapidly that other cats cannot eat peacefully, defending food with threats or attacks, or preventing other cats from drinking water near the food location. The evolutionary basis is that in the wild, food is a valuable resource that may be scarce. Cats who guard food and prevent other cats from accessing it increase their own survival chances. This resource-guarding behavior is evolutionary and normal feline behavior. The domestic reality is that domestic cats do not need to compete for food because owners provide enough food for all cats. Yet the guarding behavior persists. Some cats are naturally more food-guarding than others. Some cats are triggered to guarding by the presence of other cats at the feeding location. The severity variation includes mild guarding, where the cat eats faster or shows some tension but does not prevent other cats from eating. Moderate guarding, where one cat prevents others from accessing the bowl while eating, and severe guarding, where any other cat approaching the food area is attacked. The safety concern is that serious feeding aggression can result in injuries. Cats defending food can inflict serious bite wounds. The cat being guarded from food may become injured trying to access the food or may learn to avoid the food area entirely. The nutritional consequence is that the cat prevented from accessing food may become malnourished. If the food-guarding cat eats all available food or prevents other cats from eating, other cats do not receive adequate nutrition. Weight loss, lethargy, and health problems can result. The stress effect is that mealtimes become a source of tension and fear rather than positive experience. Cats anticipate conflict at feeding time and may avoid the feeding area, which worsens the nutritional problem. The learned behavior aspect is that some cats learn that aggression at feeding time prevents other cats from eating and reinforces the guarding behavior. The more aggressive behavior successfully prevents other cats from eating, the more the guarding cat uses aggression. Now let's examine separate feeding and what it involves. Separate feeding means feeding the cats in completely different locations. One cat eats in the kitchen, another cat eats in a bedroom or bathroom. The cats never eat in the same location and never see each other at feeding time. The logistics require space to have multiple feeding stations at different locations in the home. Not all homes have adequate space for true separate feeding. The management involves feeding one cat, removing the bowl, then feeding the other cat, or feeding them simultaneously in different rooms. The goal is that cats are never at the same feeding location. The benefit is that the cats are not in competition during feeding. Each cat eats without seeing the other cat eating. Feeding aggression cannot occur if the cats are not feeding near each other. The resource access is that each cat can access their own food bowl without encountering the other cat. The food guarding cat cannot guard the bowl from the other cat if the other cat is not present. The drawback is that managing separate feeding requires owner involvement at every meal. The owner must be present to feed each cat separately, or must have distinct times when each cat eats. The sustainability question is whether separate feeding can be maintained long-term. Some owners manage it indefinitely. Others find that over time they forget to separate feeding, or that cats find ways to access each other's food despite separation attempts. The failure mode is that if cats discover each other's feeding locations, they may begin competing for the multiple bowls rather than eating peacefully. Separate feeding only works if the cats truly do not encounter each other at feeding time. The behavioral outcome is that cats may become more food-focused or more aggressive if they associate feeding time with owner activity and anticipation. Some cats respond to separate feeding with reduced tension. Others become more focused on getting food because feeding is scarcer, occurs at specific times only. Now let's examine timed feeding and what it involves. Timed feeding means making food available only at specific times during the day, then removing all food between meals. For example, food is available for 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening. After the feeding period, all food is removed. The mechanism is that timed feeding creates scarcity that may reduce the intensity of guarding. If food is available for only 30 minutes, cats must eat during that period or go without. The time pressure affects feeding behavior. The behavioral impact is that timed feeding often reduces intensity of food guarding because the food is not continuously available. The cat cannot hoard or guard food that has been removed. During feeding time, all cats know food is available, and competition is reduced compared to when some cats can access food freely while others are guarded from it. The stress reduction can be substantial. Cats that spend hours worrying about accessing food in a free feeding scenario often show more relaxed behavior with timed feeding because the feeding time is predictable and finite. The feeding location in timed feeding can be the same location for all cats because the food is not permanently present. Cats feed during their feeding window, and then food is removed. The location is not associated with permanent guarding. The challenge is that some cats do not eat enough during the limited feeding window. A cat who is intimidated may not eat within the timed period and may go hungry. This requires monitoring to ensure all cats are eating adequately. The water consideration is whether water is also removed or remains available. Most recommendations suggest that water remains available at all times, but food is timed. The behavioral training aspect is that timed feeding can help cats learn that food is not infinitely scarce. With repeated experience that food reappears at the scheduled time, some cats reduce food guarding behavior. The sustainability is that timed feeding requires owner consistency. If feeding times are unpredictable or if food is sometimes left out, the behavioral benefit is lost. The multiple cat accommodation is that timed feeding works well for multiple cats if each cat eats during the same feeding window. Competition still occurs during feeding time, but the finite window reduces overall stress. Now let's examine food limiting and what it involves. Food limiting means reducing the total amount of food available so that competition is reduced. Instead of having multiple full bowls or free feeding, the owner provides less food, requires cats to share resources, or implements portion control. The mechanism is that if there is barely enough food for one cat, the guarding cat eats less and competition is reduced. The scarcity forces some reduction in aggression because there is less to guard. The practical reality is that limiting food to resolve feeding aggression often results in undernourishment of some cats. The cat being guarded from food may not get adequate calories. The guarding cat may eat more than is healthy, trying to prevent the other cat from accessing it. The health risk is substantial because cats may not receive adequate nutrition. Weight loss, lethargy, and health problems can result from inadequate food access. The behavioral outcome is that limiting food sometimes increases aggression rather than decreasing it. The scarcity makes the resource more valuable, making the guarding cat more defensive. The desperation feeding occurs when cats are not getting enough food. They become desperate to access food. They may display more aggression trying to access limited food, and they may eat rapidly and without normal satiation cues. The stress from continuous hunger is significant and can worsen other behavioral problems. The practical limitation is that truly limiting food to reduce aggression often means some cats are not adequately fed. This is rarely an acceptable solution from a nutritional standpoint. The combination approach, where food is limited and also timed, can work better than limiting alone. Timed feeding with adequate portions ensures cats get enough food within the timed window, while the scarcity principle reduces aggression. Let's address how to choose among these approaches. Separate feeding is best when the owner has space and time to manage separate locations. The cat's aggression is so severe that other approaches are insufficient. The owner can maintain consistency indefinitely. One cat is being significantly underfed due to guarding. Timed feeding is best when all cats eat adequate amounts during the timed window. The guarding behavior is moderate rather than severe. The owner can maintain consistent feeding times. Space for separate feeding is not available. Food limiting should be avoided when it results in inadequate nutrition for any cat. It increases aggression rather than reducing it. Other approaches are viable. The professional assessment from a veterinarian or behaviorist can help determine which approach is most appropriate for the specific situation. The trial period of 2 to 4 weeks with a chosen approach allows assessment of whether the approach is reducing aggression and whether all cats are adequately fed. The monitoring is essential. The owner must observe cats during feeding time, must weigh cats to ensure adequate nutrition, must assess whether stress is decreasing. The verdict, separate feeding, is the most reliable approach for eliminating feeding aggression entirely, but requires owner involvement and adequate space. Timed feeding can significantly reduce feeding aggression while being easier to manage than separate feeding, and works well when all cats eat adequate amounts during the feeding window. Food limiting should generally be avoided as a primary strategy for managing feeding aggression, because it often results in inadequate nutrition without meaningfully reducing aggression. The choice among these approaches should prioritize ensuring all cats receive adequate nutrition while reducing stress and aggression around feeding time. If your cats show feeding aggression, do not assume that separate feeding or timed feeding is too complicated. The time and effort invested in managing feeding properly is far less than the ongoing stress and conflict that feeding aggression creates. Start with separate feeding or timed feeding, depending on your situation. Most owners find one of these approaches sustainable. Very few owners find that limiting food effectively solves feeding aggression. Monitor all cats' weight and body condition regularly. If any cat is losing weight or is not eating adequately, the current feeding approach is not working and needs adjustment. Feeding aggression is one of the most manageable problems in multi-cat households. The solution is not complicated. It is just a matter of managing the feeding environment so cats are not competing. Invest in that management and your cat's feeding times will become peaceful rather than stressful. Comparison 4. Different activity levels matching. Play together versus separate play sessions. In multi-cat households, cats often have significantly different activity levels and play styles. One cat may be highly active, driven to play constantly, needing intensive physical activity and mental engagement. Another cat may be naturally sedentary, preferring rest and observing over active participation. One cat may prefer gentle play, while another prefers intense wrestling. Owners with cats of mismatched activity levels face a decision about whether to try to match the cat's activity levels and encourage them to play together, creating opportunities for shared interactive play and hoping the cats will exercise together, or whether to provide separate play sessions where each cat gets the type and intensity of play that matches their individual needs. This comparison examines what activity level mismatch means, what outcomes result from attempting to match cats' play styles, what separate play sessions accomplish, how to assess your cat's actual needs, and how to choose an approach that meets each cat's individual requirements. Let's start with what activity level differences mean and why they create challenges. Activity level mismatch occurs when one cat is naturally more active and another is naturally more sedentary. The active cat seeks play, seeks interaction, seeks stimulation. The sedentary cat prefers rest and minimal interaction. The biological basis is that cats have different genetic predisposition toward activity. Some cats are born with high prey drive and high activity drive. Other cats are naturally calm and low-key. Age also affects activity, with kittens and young adults being more active than senior cats. The playstyle difference is that beyond overall activity level, cats have different play preferences. Some cats like intense wrestling and pouncing, others prefer gentle batting and slow motion play. Some cats like chase games, others prefer stationary play with toys. The owner's assumption is often that if the cats are in the same household, they will play together and will exercise together, providing mutual entertainment and enrichment. The assumption is that one cat's activity will stimulate the other cat. The reality is that mismatched activity levels often create frustration rather than mutual play. The active cat pesters the sedentary cat for play. The sedentary cat responds with hissing or swats to discourage the active cat. The active cat interprets the response as play and escalates. Conflict results rather than mutual play. The stress outcome is that the sedentary cat becomes stressed by constant pestering from the active cat. The active cat becomes frustrated because the sedentary cat will not engage in the play the active cat wants. The enrichment consequence is that neither cat is getting optimal enrichment. The active cat is not getting the intense play they need. The sedentary cat is not getting the peace they need. Both cats are suboptimal. Now let's examine matching play together and what it involves. Matching play together means the owner attempts to facilitate shared play sessions where both cats engage in interactive play simultaneously. This might involve using toys that attract both cats, setting up play situations where both cats are present, or encouraging the cats to chase and play together. The theory is that shared play provides mutual enrichment, exercises both cats, and strengthens the bond between the cats. The practical challenge is that mismatched activity levels make shared play difficult or impossible. The active cat's intensity is too much for the sedentary cat. The sedentary cat's disinterest frustrates the active cat. The owner effort involved in trying to create shared play is substantial. The owner must set up situations, must try to engage both cats, must mediate if the play becomes too intense for one cat. The successful outcome when it happens is that both cats do engage together and do exercise. Some cats with mismatched activity levels can find a middle ground where shared play is possible, even if not their natural preference. The failed outcome is more common where the attempt to create shared play results in conflict, frustration, or the sedentary cat withdrawing and the active cat pestering. The time investment from the owner is significant because facilitating shared play requires active owner engagement throughout the play session. The sustainability is questionable because many owners cannot maintain consistent effort to facilitate shared play over time. The benefit limitation is that even when shared play occurs, each cat may not be getting the exact type or intensity of play they would prefer if given individual sessions. Now let's examine separate play sessions and what they involve. Separate play sessions means the owner engages each cat in individual interactive play, tailored to that cat's preferences, activity level, and play style. The active cat gets 20 to 30 minutes of intensive play. The sedentary cat gets 10 to 15 minutes of gentle play or no interactive play depending on preference. The customization is that each cat gets the type of play that matches their needs. The active cat gets chase games, pouncing opportunities, high-intensity interaction. The sedentary cat gets gentle swatting at dangling toys, slow interactive play, or quiet enrichment. The enrichment adequacy is that each cat receives appropriate enrichment for their needs rather than compromised shared play. The behavioral outcome is that the active cat is adequately exercised and less frustrated. The sedentary cat is not pestered and can rest in peace. The stress reduction is substantial because each cat experiences play on their own terms without the frustration of mismatched expectations. The time requirement from the owner is the primary drawback. Separate play sessions require twice the time commitment compared to attempting shared play. The scheduling challenge is managing separate play sessions when both cats want play simultaneously or when owner time is limited. The sustainability is better than shared play attempts because once the owner establishes a routine of separate sessions, consistency is often easier. The bond question is whether separate play reduces the cat's potential for bonding. In reality, separate play often allows each cat to relax around the other because the active cat is satisfied and the sedentary cat is not being pestered. The observation outcome is that many cats with separate play sessions actually spend more time peacefully near each other than cats forced into shared play where tension exists. Let's address the factors that determine whether shared play is possible. Activity level difference affects whether shared play can work. A small difference, one cat moderately active, one cat moderately sedentary, may allow some shared play. A large difference, one cat very active, one cat very sedentary, rarely allows successful shared play. Play style compatibility matters more than activity level. Two active cats with very different play styles may still struggle. A cat who likes gentle play cannot comfortably play with a cat who likes intense wrestling. Personality factors, including whether cats naturally like each other, whether one cat respects the other's boundaries, and whether they have natural social compatibility, all affect whether shared play is possible. Age factors affect activity level, but are not determining factors. A sedentary adult cat may be able to engage in brief shared play with an active young cat if the adult cat feels comfortable. The trial approach involves attempting shared play for 2 to 4 weeks and observing whether both cats engage, whether tension increases or decreases, and whether the outcome is positive. Let's examine when each approach is appropriate. Shared play is appropriate when both cats show interest in interactive play. The activity levels and play styles are not drastically mismatched. The owner has time to facilitate sessions. The cats naturally gravitate toward each other. Both cats show enjoyment of the shared experience. Separate play sessions are appropriate when the activity level difference is substantial. The cats have very different playstyle preferences. Attempts at shared play create tension or frustration. The owner can manage time for individual sessions. Each cat's individual needs are different. Hybrid approach, where the owner attempts some shared play but also provides individual sessions for each cat's specific needs, is often the most successful. The assessment period of 2 to 4 weeks with either approach allows honest evaluation of whether the approach is meeting both cats' needs. The verdict matching play together works only when cats have compatible activity levels and play styles, and is most successful when the owner can facilitate without forcing. Separate play sessions ensure each cat receives appropriate enrichment matched to their individual needs and often reduces tension compared to attempts at forced shared play. The decision should be based on your specific cat's activity levels and play preferences, not on assumptions about what is ideal. Many cats with different activity levels do better with separate play than with forced shared play. If you have an active cat and a sedentary cat, do not assume they must play together. The active cat can be exercised through interactive play with you. The sedentary cat can rest in peace. Both cats benefit more from this arrangement than from shared play that is not truly compatible. Observe your cat's actual play preferences. If the active cat pesters the sedentary cat relentlessly, this is a signal that the cat's needs are not being met. Separate play sessions will reduce this tension significantly. Many owners report that after switching from attempting shared play to separate sessions, both their cats seemed more relaxed and happier. The active cat got adequate exercise. The sedentary cat got peace. The household tension decreased. Time is the main barrier to separate play. But most owners find that 30 to 40 minutes total per day split between sessions is sustainable and provides far more enrichment benefit than attempts at shared play that do not work. Customize play to each cat. The active cat needs fast-moving toys, chase games, pouncing opportunities. The sedentary cat may prefer sitting still, batting at dangling toys, or may prefer quiet enrichment like puzzle feeders. Give each cat what they actually want rather than what you think they should want. Comparison 5. One cat using another's resources, forcing sharing versus environmental access versus separating. In multi-cat households, cats often have strong preferences for specific toys, specific resting places, specific perches, or specific enrichment items. When one cat has claimed a resource and another cat wants to use it, conflicts arise. One cat may hoard the preferred toy, preventing the other cat from accessing it. One cat may have claimed the favorite perch and will attack the other cat who tries to use it. One cat's favorite bed may be unavailable to the other cat because the first cat guarding it. Owners managing these resource conflicts face decisions about whether to train the cats to share resources through behavioral management, whether to duplicate resources so each cat has access to their own versions of preferred items, or whether to assign resources territorially, so each cat has certain items that the other cat is not allowed to access. This comparison examines what resource competition means, what each approach accomplishes, what the drawbacks are, and how to choose a solution that respects both cats' needs and personalities. Let's start with why resource sharing becomes an issue and what it means. Resource competition occurs when two cats want the same item or location. Unlike humans who can share most items, cats view resources as finite and often do not naturally share. In the wild, sharing is not necessary because each cat has their own territory and resources. The ownership concept in cats is stronger than in humans. A cat who has claimed a toy or a perch views it as theirs. Another cat using that item is viewed as theft or invasion. The preference intensity varies by cat and by item. A cat may not care if another cat uses a generic toy but will guard their favorite toy fiercely. A cat may share a low-value resting place but will defend their favorite perch. The learned behavior is that if guarding is successful in preventing the other cat from using the resource, the guarding cat will continue and escalate guarding behavior. If sharing is allowed, some cats become more accepting. The conflict pattern begins when one cat approaches the resource. The resource holder cat displays warning behavior. If the approaching cat backs away, the conflict ends temporarily. If the approaching cat persists, conflict escalates. The stress consequence is that both cats experience stress around contested resources. The cat with the resource is in constant vigilance defending it. The cat without access is in constant frustration trying to access it. The behavioral effect is that cats may avoid certain areas because the resource holder prevents access. A cat may stop using the favorite perch because another cat guards it. A cat may play less because the favorite toy is unavailable. Now let's examine forcing sharing and what it involves. Forcing sharing means the owner attempts to train the cats that sharing is acceptable, that multiple cats can use the same resource without conflict, and that guarding behavior is not tolerated. The training approach includes rewarding cats when they share peacefully, interrupting and redirecting guarding behavior, and establishing rules that both cats can access resources. The reward-based method involves treats and praise when both cats are near a resource without tension, gradually building positive associations with sharing. The interruption method involves immediately stopping guarding behavior when it begins, removing the resource temporarily if necessary, and establishing that guarding is not effective. The consistency requirement is that forcing sharing requires constant reinforcement. If the owner sometimes intervenes and sometimes does not, the training is ineffective. The time investment is substantial because training must be consistent and ongoing. The success rate varies dramatically by cat personality. Some cats are naturally sharing and can be trained to share peacefully. Other cats have such strong resource guarding drives that training is ineffective. The limitation is that even successful training often results in tense but tolerated sharing rather than genuine peaceful sharing. Both cats may access the resource, but with tension. The management burden is that the owner must actively manage shared resources rather than the cats managing themselves. The failure mode is that if training is inconsistent or unsuccessful, the resource becomes a constant source of conflict and the owner must escalate to other solutions. The outcome is sometimes that one cat gives up competing and abandons the resource entirely, which defeats the purpose of forcing sharing. Now let's examine environmental access through duplication and what it involves. Environmental duplication means providing multiple copies of valued resources so that each cat has their own version of the resource. Multiple favorite toys, multiple favorite beds, multiple perches, multiple of whatever resources are being competed for. The principle is that if each cat has their own version of the resource, competition is eliminated because there is no scarcity. The cost is that providing multiples of everything is expensive. Multiple expensive cat trees, multiple premium beds, multiple sets of toys. The space requirement is that having multiples of resources consumes home space. The practical benefit is that resource competition is eliminated. Each cat can access their preferred resource without encountering the other cat using it. The behavioral outcome is that stress around resources is eliminated. Cats do not need to guard because they each have their own. The limitation is that some resources cannot be easily duplicated. There is only one favorite sunny window perch, only one favorite lap. These cannot be duplicated. The partial solution is that while some resources can be duplicated, toys, beds, water bowls, others cannot, requiring a hybrid approach. The sustainability is good because once the environment is set up with duplicates, the owner does not need to actively manage sharing. The psychological effect is that cats often prefer their preferred item even when duplicates exist. The cat who preferred the original toy may still want that toy even though an identical one is available. The original toy has become special because it was contested. The acceptance of duplication varies by owner. Some owners are willing to have multiple of everything. Others find the clutter and cost prohibitive. Now let's examine territorial separation and what it involves. Territorial assignment means designating certain resources for certain cats. This cat's toy, this cat's bed, this cat's perch. The owner enforces that the designated cat has priority access. The principle is that if each cat knows which resources are theirs, competition is prevented and guarding is unnecessary. The enforcement requires the owner to intervene if the non-designated cat tries to use the resource. This requires active management. The memory from the cat's perspective is questionable. Cats do not understand human assignment. They understand resource availability and guarding success. The practical result is often that territorial assignment works only if the designated owner cat is stronger or more aggressive and will prevent the other cat from using the resource anyway. The benefit is that the owner acknowledges the cat's natural inclinations and works with them rather than against them. The limitation is that this approach essentially codifies guarding behavior rather than preventing it. The guarding cat is given permission to guard. The fairness question is whether it is fair to designate some resources as unavailable to certain cats. The disadvantaged cat may feel excluded or frustrated. The sustainability depends on whether the non-designated cat accepts the territorial assignment or continues trying to access the resource. Let's address the personality factors that determine which approach works best. Naturally sharing cats who do not have strong guarding drives may respond well to forced sharing and may accept environmental duplication easily. Strong resource guarders with high guarding drive likely will not respond to forced sharing and will require either duplication or territorial separation. Cats with moderate preference for specific resources may accept duplicates and may not develop serious conflict over resources. The age factor, where older cats often have less energy to guard and may share more peacefully than younger cats. The relationship quality between the cats affects whether sharing is possible. Bonded cats may share more peacefully. Cats in conflict may guard more aggressively. Let's examine when each approach is appropriate. Forcing sharing is appropriate when both cats are naturally non-guarding. The resources are not extremely valuable to either cat. The owner has time and commitment for consistent training. Early intervention prevents strong guarding patterns. Environmental duplication is appropriate when the cat has strong resource guarding drives. Multiple copies of contested resources are affordable and feasible. The owner wants to eliminate competition entirely. Previous attempts at sharing training have failed. Territorial separation is appropriate when the cats have established preferences and guarding patterns. Duplication is not feasible or affordable. The owner is willing to enforce territorial assignment. The cats accept the arrangement without escalating conflict. Hybrid approach. Combining elements of all three is often most effective, where some resources are duplicated, some are assigned territorially, and the cats are encouraged to share lower-value resources. The verdict forcing sharing works only for cats with naturally low guarding drives and requires consistent owner effort that many owners cannot sustain. Environmental duplication effectively eliminates resource competition and works well when it is feasible and affordable. Territorial separation acknowledges cats' natural guarding drives and works if the owner can enforce the assignments consistently. The most effective approach for most multi-cat households is a combination where high-value items are duplicated or assigned territorially, and lower-value items are available for shared access. If your cats are in constant conflict over resources, duplication is often the simplest solution. The cost of duplicating toys and beds is far less than the ongoing stress and conflict that resource competition creates. Do not assume all cats can share peacefully. Some cats have strong resource guarding drives that are biological and are not training issues. Accepting this and providing duplicates is kindness, not failure. If you choose territorial assignment, enforce it consistently so the assigned cat knows they can rely on their resource. If you are inconsistent, the designated cat will become unsure and will guard more aggressively. Many owners report that after switching from forcing sharing to providing duplicates, their cat's overall behavior improved. Resource competition decreased, stress decreased, household peace increased. The goal is not that all cats share peacefully. The goal is that all cats have access to resources they need without constant conflict. Duplication often achieves this goal more effectively than training or territoriality. Comparison 6. Medical crisis in multi-cat. Isolating for treatment versus managing at home. When one cat in a multi-cat household experiences a medical crisis, including urinary blockage, severe infection, trauma, or other acute illness requiring intensive treatment, owners must decide whether to isolate the sick cat in a separate space to facilitate intensive treatment and monitoring, or whether to manage the crisis at home while maintaining the cat's position in the multi-cat household. Isolation allows focused treatment, allows medication administration without the complication of other cats, and allows the owner to monitor the cat intensively without managing multiple cats simultaneously. Managing at home maintains the cat's familiar environment, maintains social contact with bonded cats, and prevents the additional stress of isolation during a medical crisis. The contrast is between the medical practicality of isolation and the psychological benefit of remaining in the home environment. This comparison examines what medical crises require, what isolation for treatment accomplishes, what managing at home involves, how to balance medical needs with psychological well-being, and when each approach is most appropriate. Let's start with what medical crisis means and why treatment becomes urgent. Medical crisis refers to acute conditions requiring immediate treatment, including urinary blockage, inability to urinate, severe infection, trauma, acute illness where delay in treatment risks death or severe complications. The urgency factor is that these conditions require rapid intervention. A cat with urinary blockage can die within 24 to 48 hours without treatment. Severe infection can worsen rapidly. These are not conditions where home management is optional. The treatment requirement includes that the cat may need hospitalization initially, may need intravenous fluids, may need catheterization, may need antibiotics or other intensive interventions that are easier to provide in a veterinary setting. The recovery phase after initial crisis treatment may be short, days, or may extend weeks depending on the condition and the cat's response to treatment. The decision point often comes after the acute crisis is stabilized. The initial emergency may require hospitalization, but the recovery phase may be manageable at home. Now let's examine isolating the cat for treatment and what it involves. Isolation for treatment means keeping the sick cat in a separate room away from other cats during the acute crisis and recovery phase. This allows intensive monitoring and medication administration. The medical benefit is that the owner can focus entirely on the sick cat's needs. Medications can be given without other cats interfering. The cat can be monitored for complications without managing multiple cats. The treatment facilitation includes that catheterization, wound care, repeated medication administration, or frequent monitoring are all easier with the cat isolated. The stress consideration is that isolation itself is stressful for the sick cat. The cat is in unfamiliar territory, if in a hospital, or is separated from their home environment, if at home in a separate room. The complication management is easier in isolation because other cats cannot interfere with treatment, cannot prevent medication administration, cannot disturb catheters or wound sites. The monitoring advantage is that in isolation, the owner can observe every elimination, every eating, every behavior change without other cats complicating observation. The psychological drawback for the sick cat is that isolation means separation from bonded companions at a time when the cat is vulnerable and stressed. The duration of isolation depends on the condition and recovery. Some conditions require isolation for only days, others require weeks. The reintegration challenge occurs when isolation extends weeks because the cat must be reintroduced to other cats even as they are recovering. The stress of reintegration may complicate recovery. The family stress from isolation is that the family experiences the sick cat's isolation emotionally. Many owners feel they are abandoning the sick cat by isolating them. Now let's examine managing at home and what it involves. Managing at home means treating the cat's medical condition while maintaining them in the multi-cat household. The sick cat remains with other cats unless specific medical or behavioral reasons require separation. The logistical complexity is that medication administration, monitoring, and treatment must all occur while managing other cats simultaneously. The owner must prevent other cats from interfering with treatment while providing normal care for all cats. The monitoring challenge is that with multiple cats present, observing the sick cat's specific behaviors, eating, and elimination becomes more difficult. The owner must ensure other cats are not consuming the sick cat's food or using the sick cat's litter box. The psychological benefit for the sick cat is that remaining in the familiar home environment with bonded companions may reduce stress and facilitate recovery. The medical complication includes that other cats may disturb catheters or wound sites, may prevent the sick cat from resting in preferred locations, may interfere with the sick cat's eating or medication administration. The infection risk is a consideration if the illness is contagious. Managing at home with infectious disease risks transmission to other cats. The practical management requires separate spaces or at least separate resources for the sick cat, so medication can be isolated, food can be monitored, and elimination can be tracked. The owner burden is substantial because the owner must manage treatment for the sick cat while maintaining normal care for other cats. The recovery benefit may be significant if the sick cats reduce stress and maintained companionship, support faster recovery. The complication risk includes that if the cat's condition worsens while at home, emergency veterinary care may be delayed compared to hospital monitoring. Let's address the specific medical conditions and what each requires. Urinary blockage is typically treated in hospital with catheterization and intravenous fluids for 2 to 4 days. After initial treatment, the cat may be managed at home if stable, but requires close monitoring. Severe infection may require hospitalization for intravenous antibiotics for days to weeks. Once oral antibiotics are adequate, home management is possible. Trauma, including fractures or injuries, may be managed at home with pain medication, rest, and monitoring, or may require hospitalization if severe. Post-surgical recovery from necessary emergency surgery may be 1 to 2 weeks of careful management at home. The treatment transition often allows hospital care initially followed by home management for recovery. Let's examine when each approach is most appropriate. Isolation is necessary when the condition requires constant veterinary monitoring that cannot be provided at home. The treatment requires intensive intervention, including catheterization or intravenous fluids. The illness is contagious and must not spread to other cats. The sick cat is so ill that other cats' presence causes stress. The owner cannot safely manage treatment in a multi-cat environment. Managing at home is appropriate when the acute crisis has been stabilized. The cat is transitioning to oral medications and home care. The cat's condition is stable enough that frequent veterinary monitoring is not required. The cat's stress from isolation would complicate recovery. The owner has capacity to manage treatment in a multi-cat home. The hybrid approach, where the cat is hospitalized during acute crisis, then brought home for recovery, is often most appropriate for serious conditions. The veterinary guidance is crucial for determining whether home management is safe and appropriate for the specific condition and the specific cat. The family consideration includes that some families find isolation emotionally very difficult and need veterinary support to understand why isolation is medically necessary. The verdict: isolation is medically necessary for acute crisis treatment, where intensive monitoring and specialized intervention are required. Managing at home during recovery is often appropriate and may support faster recovery once the acute crisis is stabilized. The best approach combines hospital care during acute crisis, followed by home-based recovery management when medically appropriate. Do not feel guilty about necessary hospitalization during acute crisis. The intensive care the veterinary hospital provides saves lives in ways that home care cannot. Once your cat's condition stabilizes, discuss with your veterinarian whether home management is medically appropriate. Many cats do better emotionally and recover better when they return home, even if treatment continues. If home management is appropriate, discuss with your veterinarian specifically what monitoring is needed, what complications to watch for, and when the cat needs to return for evaluation. Managing treatment at home while maintaining a multi-cat household requires careful planning. Discuss medication timing, separate feeding, litter box monitoring, and other logistics with your veterinarian before bringing your cat home. Many owners report that once their cat came home from hospitalization, their cat's recovery accelerated. The familiar environment and the presence of bonded cats seem to support healing. The goal is to provide whatever level of care is medically necessary during the crisis, then facilitate recovery at home when safe to do so. Comparison 7. Behavioral problem in one cat, addressing behavior versus restricting versus rehoming. When one cat in a multi-cat household develops a significant behavioral problem including aggression toward other cats, inappropriate elimination, destructive behavior, or other behaviors that create conflict or chaos in the household, owners must decide whether to actively address and resolve the behavioral problem, whether to restrict the problem, cat's access and movement to manage the behavior without resolving it, or whether to consider rehoming the cat to a more appropriate living situation. Addressing the behavior requires investigating the underlying cause, implementing environmental modifications, considering medication, and working toward actual resolution. Restricting the cat means accepting the behavioral problem as permanent and managing around it by limiting the cat's access to areas where the problem occurs. Rehoming acknowledges that the cat's behavioral needs or personality may not be compatible with the current household. The contrast is between investing in resolution, accepting the behavior, and acknowledging incompatibility. This comparison examines what behavioral problems mean in multi-cat contexts, what each approach involves, how to assess the cat's behavior and your capacity, and when each approach is most appropriate. Let's start with what behavioral problems in multi-cat households look like and why they matter. Behavioral problems in multi-cat households include aggression toward other cats, inappropriate elimination in response to stress or territorial issues, destructive behavior, like excessive scratching or aggression toward furniture in response to stress, over-grooming or self-injury indicating anxiety, or other behaviors that create conflict or instability in the household. The difference from single-cat problems is that behavioral problems in multi-cat homes often involve the behavior affecting other cats. A single cat's occasional inappropriate elimination might be overlooked. In a multi-cat home, one cat's litter box avoidance or marking behavior affects the litter box piece for all cats. The escalation factor is that behavioral problems in one cat often trigger behavioral problems in other cats. If one cat is aggressive, other cats become more defensive. If one cat marks territory, other cats may respond with their own marking. The household impact is that one cat's behavioral problem can destabilize the entire household. A cat with consistent aggression creates tension for all cats. A cat with elimination problems creates stress and odor problems, affecting the whole home. The distinguishing factor between normal cat behavior and problematic behavior is whether the behavior is causing actual conflict, safety concerns, or household dysfunction, rather than simply being inconvenient. Now let's examine addressing the behavior and what it involves. Addressing behavioral problems means investigating what is causing the behavior and implementing changes to address the underlying cause, rather than simply managing the symptom. The investigation process includes identifying what triggers the behavior, when the behavior occurs, what the cat is responding to, whether the behavior indicates underlying stress, medical issues, environmental inadequacy, or personality conflicts. Environmental modification is often the first step, including providing more resources, creating more space, reducing conflict points, providing more hiding spaces, creating opportunities for the cat to express natural behaviors, or restructuring the household to reduce the cat's stress. Medication consideration includes that some behavioral problems indicate underlying anxiety that can be addressed through medication. Some cats benefit from anti-anxiety medication to reduce the stress driving the behavior. The time requirement for addressing behavior is substantial. Behavioral change takes weeks or months. The problem does not resolve immediately. The success rate varies dramatically depending on the underlying cause and the cat's personality. Some behavioral problems are readily resolved once the cause is identified. Others are deeply ingrained and difficult to change. The commitment level required is significant because addressing behavior requires consistent implementation of environmental changes, possible medication management, and often behavioral observation and training. The investment includes potential consultation costs with a feline behaviorist, medication costs, and the cost of environmental modifications like additional resources or furniture. The outcome, if successful, is that the behavioral problem resolves and the cat integrates successfully into the multi-cat household. The risk is investing time and money with no improvement if the behavior does not respond to intervention. Now let's examine restricting the cat and what it involves. Restricting the cat means accepting the behavioral problem as permanent and managing the household by limiting the problem cat's access to areas where the behavior occurs or to other cats. The practical management includes confining the aggressive cat to certain areas, keeping the problem cat separated from other cats except during supervised interaction, limiting access to certain rooms, or using baby gates to restrict movement. The stress consequence for the restricted cat is that confinement is stressful. The cat is limited in their freedom and their ability to move throughout their home. The household peace benefit is that restricting the problem cat reduces conflict between cats and prevents the behavioral problem from affecting the entire household. The sustainability depends on whether the owner can maintain the restrictions indefinitely. If restrictions are inconsistently enforced, the behavior escalates. The quality of life consideration is whether the restricted cat can maintain adequate quality of life in a confined space with appropriate resources, enrichment, and human interaction. The owner burden is ongoing because restrictions must be consistently maintained. The family dynamics impact is that restricting one cat creates a two-tier household where one cat is free and one cat is limited. Some families adapt well to this arrangement. Others find it stressful. The reintegration question is whether the cat can ever be unrestricted or whether the restriction is permanent. Now let's examine rehoming and what it involves. Rehoming means acknowledging that the cat's behavioral needs, personality, or stress levels are not compatible with the current multi-cat household and finding an alternative living situation where the cat may thrive. The alternative situations include single cat homes, where the cat's aggression or stress response is not triggered by other cats, homes with fewer cats, homes with older, calmer cats, homes with more space, homes with owners who have higher tolerance for behavioral challenges, or specialized rescue situations where cats with behavioral challenges are managed by experienced handlers. The assessment includes honestly evaluating whether the behavioral problem is likely to improve in the current household or whether the cat would be better served elsewhere. The guilt factor is significant because many owners experience guilt about rehoming as though they are abandoning the cat or admitting failure. The reality perspective is that some cats genuinely are not suited to multi-cat households regardless of owner effort. Moving the cat to a more appropriate situation is not failure, it is kindness. The cat's perspective is that the cat may be stressed and unhappy in the current household and may thrive in a different environment. The practical process includes finding appropriate rescues or homes, ensuring the cat's medical and behavioral information is shared, and ensuring the cat transitions successfully. The owner's responsibility includes being honest about the cat's behavior so the adopting family understands what they are accepting. The relief factor is that many owners who rehome a behavioral problem cat report significant relief, that the household tension decreases and the remaining cats calm down. Let's address the assessment of severity and your capacity. Minor behavioral issues like occasional tension or minor aggression are different from serious issues like consistent, dangerous aggression or total litter box breakdown. Severity assessment determines which approach is appropriate. Your capacity includes honestly evaluating whether you have time, energy, money, and emotional capacity to address a behavioral problem. If you are overwhelmed, restriction or rehoming may be more appropriate than trying to fix a problem you cannot sustainably manage. The other cat's well-being is a consideration. If addressing one cat's behavior requires extensive management that leaves other cats' needs unmet, the overall household well-being may suffer. Professional guidance from a veterinarian and potentially a feline behaviorist is crucial for assessing whether a behavioral problem is addressable and what the realistic timeline and outcome might be. The cat's age and personality factor into whether behavioral change is realistic. Young cats with less entrenched behavior patterns often change more readily than older cats. Let's examine when each approach is most appropriate. Addressing the behavior is most appropriate when the behavioral problem has a clear, identifiable cause. Environmental or medical factors may be contributing. You have capacity, resources, and emotional availability to work on resolution. The cat is young, or the problem is relatively new. Other cats' well-being is not being severely compromised while you work on the problem. The cat shows any signs of responsiveness to initial interventions. Restricting the cat is most appropriate when the behavioral problem is long-standing and unlikely to change. The problem can be managed effectively through restriction. The cat can maintain adequate quality of life within restrictions. You can commit to maintaining restrictions indefinitely. The restricted cat still has good quality of life and human interaction. Other cats' well-being significantly improves through restriction. Rehoming is most appropriate when the behavioral problem is severe and addressing seems unlikely. Restriction significantly compromises the cat's quality of life. The cat is causing serious harm or serious stress to other cats. You realistically cannot sustain addressing the behavior. The cat's stress level suggests they would be happier elsewhere. You have honestly assessed that the cat and household are incompatible. The verdict: many behavioral problems in multi-cat households have underlying causes that can be addressed through environmental modification, medical evaluation, and sometimes medication. Addressing behavioral problems requires time, resources, and realistic assessment of whether improvement is likely. If you do not have these elements, restriction or rehoming may be more appropriate. Restricting a cat indefinitely is sometimes the most humane solution when behavioral problems cannot be resolved and the cat would not thrive elsewhere. Rehoming is not failure. Some cats genuinely are not suited to multi-cat households, and moving them to a more appropriate environment is kindness. Before deciding on rehoming, consult a veterinarian and ideally a feline behaviorist. What appears to be a behavioral problem may have a medical cause or may be addressable through environmental changes. Many owners who initially plan to rehome a cat report success with environmental modifications, increased resources, and reduced conflict. Investigate possibilities before deciding rehoming is necessary. If you do rehome a cat, be completely honest with the adopting family about the cat's behavioral challenges. Do not minimize the behavior hoping it will not appear in the new home. Honesty helps the cat find a genuinely appropriate placement. The goal is the well-being of all cats in your household, including the one with behavioral challenges. Sometimes that well-being is best served through addressing behavior. Sometimes it is best served through restriction. Sometimes it is best served through rehoming. Comparison 8. Owner capacity. Limited multi-cat, when you cannot manage versus reducing number. Some owners find themselves in multi-cat households, but discover they do not have adequate time, energy, money, or physical capacity to provide appropriate care for all the cats. This may have happened gradually as life circumstances changed or as the number of cats grew. Owners facing limited capacity must decide whether to continue maintaining the multi-cat household while accepting that care may be compromised, or whether to reduce the number of cats to a level where appropriate care can be provided. Continuing with limited capacity means some cats' needs may not be fully met. Litter boxes may not be cleaned as often as needed. Veterinary care may be delayed. Enrichment may be inadequate. Play and interaction may be insufficient. Reducing numbers means acknowledging that fewer cats can receive better care than more cats receiving inadequate care. The contrast is between maintaining more cats with less care and maintaining fewer cats with better care. This comparison examines what capacity means, what limited capacity looks like, what each approach involves, why quality of care matters, and when reducing numbers is the appropriate choice. Let's start with what capacity means and why it matters. Owner capacity refers to the owner's realistic ability to provide adequate care for the number of cats they have. Capacity includes time, physical energy, emotional energy, financial resources, and ability to handle multiple cats' simultaneous needs. Time capacity includes the time needed for daily care like litter box cleaning, feeding, water refreshing, play, interaction, and veterinary appointments. Physical capacity includes the physical ability to manage multiple cats, including lifting, cleaning, reaching, and managing the physical demands of multi-cat care, especially for owners with physical limitations. Emotional capacity includes the emotional bandwidth to manage multiple cats' personalities, needs, conflicts, and demands without becoming overwhelmed or burned out. Financial capacity includes the money available for food, litter, enrichment, preventive veterinary care, and emergency veterinary care for multiple cats. The reality check is that capacity is not unlimited. Every owner has a realistic number of cats they can care for well given their circumstances. The honest assessment requires that owners evaluate whether their current capacity matches the number of cats they have. Now let's examine continuing with limited capacity and what it looks like. Continuing with limited capacity means keeping the current number of cats while acknowledging that some of their needs may not be fully met due to the owner's constraints. The impact on litter boxes is that litter boxes may not be cleaned as frequently as ideal. When an owner is overwhelmed, litter box maintenance is often one of the first things to suffer. Cats respond by avoiding dirty boxes and eliminating inappropriately. The impact on veterinary care includes that preventive care or addressing minor issues may be delayed. An owner overwhelmed with daily care may delay veterinary visits until situations become emergency situations. The impact on enrichment is that play, environmental enrichment, and interaction time may be inadequate. Cats may have fewer toys, less human interaction, and less mental stimulation. The impact on individual attention is that each cat receives less one-on-one attention. In multi-cat homes, attention is typically divided. When capacity is low, individual cats receive very little attention. The stress consequence for cats is that inadequate litter box maintenance, insufficient enrichment, and limited attention create stress, boredom, and frustration. Stressed cats develop behavioral problems, health issues, and reduced quality of life. The burnout consequence for the owner is that managing more cats than their capacity allows leads to burnout, resentment, and feelings of failure. The escalation pattern is that as the owner becomes more overwhelmed, care declines further, cats become more stressed and develop behavioral problems, which further overwhelms the owner. The quality of life for both cats and owner declines. Now let's examine reducing numbers and what it involves. Reducing numbers means accepting that fewer cats allows better care for all remaining cats. The assessment includes evaluating how many cats the owner can reasonably care for given current capacity and committing to that number. The decision process includes determining which cats to reduce. This might be based on which cats are most independent, which cats have the healthiest personalities, or which cats might adapt better to other living situations. The difficult reality is that reducing numbers requires making a decision about which cat or cats will be rehomed. This is emotionally difficult for most owners. The options for rehoming include finding appropriate permanent homes, working with rescue organizations, or returning cats to shelters with the understanding that they will be rehomed. The guilt factor is significant because reducing numbers often feels like admitting failure or like betraying the cats being rehomed. The honesty required is recognizing that one cat rehomed to a home where they receive excellent care is better than 3 cats kept in a home where care is compromised. The sustainability is that caring for fewer cats sustainably is better long-term for all cats than attempting to care for more cats in an unsustainable way. The improvement outcome is that once the number of cats matches the owner's capacity, stress decreases, care quality improves, and remaining cats' quality of life increases. The owner's relief is that many owners who reduce numbers report significant relief that they can finally provide the care they want to provide. Let's address the warning signs that capacity is exceeded. Litter box warning signs include litter boxes being cleaned less frequently than ideal, appearing neglected, or cats beginning to eliminate outside boxes as a response to inadequate boxes. Veterinary warning signs include difficulty affording veterinary care, delaying veterinary visits until situations are emergencies, or difficulty managing multiple cats' medications and care routines. Enrichment warning signs include cats appearing bored or understimulated, toys being unavailable or neglected, or minimal human interaction occurring due to owner being overwhelmed. Owner warning signs include feeling constantly overwhelmed, resenting the cats or care responsibilities, feeling unable to meet all needs, or experiencing guilt about inadequate care. Relationship warning signs include increased cat-to-cat conflict as stressed cats become more aggressive, increased behavioral problems in multiple cats, or cats becoming withdrawn or hiding as a response to stress. The cascading problem is that inadequate care creates stress and behavioral problems, which further overwhelm the owner, creating a downward spiral. Let's examine the quality versus quantity principle. Quality of care means each cat receives appropriate litter box, maintenance, appropriate feeding, appropriate veterinary care, appropriate enrichment, appropriate interaction, and appropriate space. Quantity of cats means the number of cats the owner has committed to maintaining. The incompatibility occurs when quantity exceeds the owner's capacity to provide quality. The solution is matching quantity to capacity so quality can be maintained. The difficult truth is that many owners initially acquired cats thinking they had more capacity than they actually have. Financial circumstances changed, health changed, work demands changed. The number of cats that once seemed manageable became unmanageable. The reframe is that reducing numbers is not failure, it is realism and kindness. The cat's perspective is that cats care far more about having excellent care than about being in a multi-cat household. Let's address the long-term sustainability question. Sustainable care means the owner can provide the care they want to provide indefinitely without burning out or becoming resentful. Unsustainable situations including being constantly overwhelmed, being unable to afford proper care, being unable to manage physical demands, or becoming resentful of the cats are signs that the current situation is not sustainable. The trajectory of unsustainable situations is that they worsen over time. An owner already overwhelmed will become more overwhelmed as they age or as circumstances shift further. The planning question includes thinking about what happens if your capacity decreases further due to age, health, or life changes. Is the current number sustainable in that scenario? The compassionate choice is adjusting now to a number of cats you can realistically care for in the long term, rather than trying to maintain too many and watching care decline. Let's examine when each approach is most appropriate. Continuing with current numbers is appropriate only when the owner is honestly meeting all cats' needs adequately. No warning signs of compromised care exist. The owner has sufficient capacity for the number of cats. The situation is sustainable long term. All cats are thriving. Reducing numbers is appropriate when warning signs of compromised care are present. The owner is honestly overwhelmed. Capacity does not match the number of cats. Reducing will improve care quality for remaining cats. The situation is not sustainable long term. The owner recognizes that fewer cats with excellent care is better than more cats with inadequate care. The verdict, capacity, is a real constraint. Pretending you can care for more cats than you actually can manage harms all the cats in your home. One cat receiving excellent care is better served than 3 cats receiving compromised care due to owner overwhelm. Reducing numbers is not failure. It is making a responsible choice to provide excellent care for fewer cats rather than inadequate care for more. If you are experiencing warning signs that you are overwhelmed, take them seriously. These signs will not improve without change. Many owners report that reducing to a number of cats they could realistically care for transformed their experience. They stopped feeling guilty about inadequate care. They started actually enjoying their cats again. Be honest with yourself about your capacity. Consider your age, health, work demands, financial situation, and realistic time availability. How many cats can you genuinely care for well? If that number is less than the number of cats you currently have, beginning the process of reducing to that number is an act of kindness, not just for the remaining cats, but for yourself. Consult with rescue organizations about rehoming options. Many rescues are experienced in placing cats in new homes and can help make the transition successful. Focus on the remaining cats thriving rather than on guilt about the cats you rehomed. The goal is for all your cats to have good lives, whether that is in your home or elsewhere. Comparison 9. Adoptable cats, available versus cats you have. Expanding versus accepting limit. Many cat lovers reach a point where they are providing good care for their current cats, but are aware of adoptable cats in rescues who need homes. This awareness creates a difficult decision. The owner could potentially expand their household and provide a home for another adoptable cat. There are always more cats needing homes. The temptation is strong, especially for compassionate people who care deeply about cats, yet the decision to expand must be balanced against whether expanding will compromise the care quality for current cats or whether it will overextend the owner's capacity. Expanding means providing a home for another cat in need, but potentially reducing the individual attention or resources available for current cats. Accepting a limit means the current cats receive better care and more attention, even though other adoptable cats remain in shelters. The contrast is between helping more cats and providing optimal care for the cats you have. This comparison examines the temptation to expand, the reality of rescue needs, what expanding appropriately means, when accepting limits is the right choice, and how to balance compassion with responsibility. Let's start with the temptation to expand and why it is so strong. The awareness of adoptable cats is that rescues, shelters, and foster networks consistently have more cats available for adoption than homes available for them. This awareness creates emotional pressure to provide homes. The compassion driver is that cat lovers see suffering and want to fix it. Knowing a specific cat needs a home creates emotional pull to adopt that cat. The savior complex is the feeling that you personally could save a cat's life by providing a home. The logic is seductive. You can care for cats. There is a cat who needs a home. Therefore, you should adopt. The rescue messaging is that rescue organizations emphasize the need and the animal's suffering in ways designed to motivate adoption. While this messaging is well-intentioned, it creates emotional pressure that is difficult to resist. The social expectation, especially in cat-loving communities, is that good cat people adopt more cats. There is subtle or not so subtle judgment about people who stop at a certain number. The rationalization is that owners often convince themselves they can manage more cats than they realistically can. The story becomes, I have enough space, I have enough money, I care about cats, therefore, I can manage another cat. The reality check failure is that many owners who adopt additional cats discover too late that they actually cannot manage the expanded household well. Now let's examine the rescue perspective and the availability problem. The rescue reality is that there are far more cats needing homes than there are homes available. Every cat adopted frees resources for another cat. Every home provided allows a rescue to take in another cat. The overflow situation is that many rescues are over capacity, with too many cats and not enough resources to care for them adequately. These rescues are desperate for adopters. The no-kill shelter challenge is that no-kill shelters often reach capacity and cannot take any more cats, forcing them to turn away animals when homes are not available for cats currently in care. The emotional impact on rescue workers is that constantly seeing cats in need and knowing the limitations of space and resources is devastating. They urgently want homes for their cats. The messaging consequence is that rescue workers' desperation can lead to over-enthusiastic matching of cats with homes that are not actually appropriate for those cats. The statistical reality is that some percentage of adopted cats do not work out and are returned. This return is painful for the cat, expensive for the rescue, and puts the rescue in a worse position than if the adoption had not occurred. The failed adoption cycle is that when cats are adopted to homes that cannot manage them and are subsequently returned, the rescue loses resources and the cats experience additional trauma. The genuine need is real, but also needs to be balanced by matching cats with homes where they will genuinely thrive. Let's examine expanding and what it appropriately involves. Expanding appropriately means considering an additional cat only when the current household is functioning well. All current cat's needs are being met. The owner has genuine capacity for one more cat, and the expansion will not compromise current cat's care. The capacity assessment is that the owner should honestly evaluate whether they have time, energy, money, and space for one more cat without reducing any care for existing cats. The space consideration includes that each cat needs their own territory and resources. Adding a cat requires ensuring sufficient boxes, space, and resources for all. The individual attention calculation means that adding a cat will reduce individual attention for current cats. Is that reduction acceptable to you? The financial reality includes that additional cats mean additional food, litter, enrichment, and veterinary costs. Can you comfortably absorb another cat's expenses? The conflict potential is assessing whether a new cat will create behavioral problems, territorial conflicts, or other complications that will stress current cats or overwhelm your management capacity. The cat compatibility includes that some cats genuinely are not suited to multi-cat households, regardless of how well managed. If your current cats prefer solitary living, adding another cat may compromise their well-being. The honest threshold is that expanding is appropriate only when all signs genuinely indicate you can manage it well. The outcome when expansion is appropriate is that the new cat integrates successfully and all cats, including new arrivals, receive good care. The risk when expansion is inappropriate is that the household becomes stressed. Care quality declines for all cats, and the new cat may be returned. Now let's examine accepting a limit and what it means. Accepting a limit means recognizing that the number of cats you currently have is the number you can care for well, and committing to that number despite awareness of other adoptable cats. The guilt question is, why should you get to have cats you love when other cats remain in shelters? This guilt is the primary emotion owners experience when declining to expand. The reframe is that providing excellent care for the cats in your home is your responsibility and your strength. Rescuing every cat you could possibly save is not your responsibility. The impact recognition is that your current cats are better off with you if you remain at a number you can handle well than if you expand and quality of their care declines. The ripple effect is that if you keep your household at a manageable level, you can provide excellent care. You are less likely to become burnout or resentful. You are more likely to provide long-term homes for your cats, and you are a stable, reliable cat owner. The comparative advantage is that an owner who keeps 3 cats and provides excellent care for 20 years is contributing more to cat welfare than an owner who adopts 6 cats, becomes overwhelmed, provides compromised care, and may rehome cats later. The rescue support is that stable owners who provide excellent long-term homes are actually helping rescues even if they do not adopt additional cats. You are a proven, reliable home. Your future recommendations and support matter. The financial aspect is that the money you would spend on an additional cat could instead be donated to a rescue organization. That donation helps more cats than adopting 1 cat would. Let's address the guilt factor and how to manage it. The guilt premise is the belief that you should save every cat you can, and that declining to adopt means you do not care enough. The reframing is that caring about cats means providing good care to the cats in your home, not necessarily adopting every cat you become aware of. The honest truth is that you cannot rescue every cat. No single person can. The problem of cat overpopulation is a systemic problem that individual adoption alone cannot solve. The realistic contribution is that you contribute by providing an excellent home for the cats you do have, by supporting rescues in other ways, by advocating for spay and neuter programs, and by helping address systemic cat welfare issues. The self-care element is that burning yourself out trying to save every cat you become aware of helps no one. You will be less able to help cats if you are exhausted and resentful. The permission granting is that it is okay to accept limits. It is okay to say I have enough cats. It is okay to decline an available adoption. Let's examine the decision framework for expansion. The honest capacity assessment includes evaluating time, energy, money, space, personality fit with current cats, and realistic long-term sustainability. The current cats assessment includes whether they would benefit from having another cat, whether they would be stressed by another cat, and whether they have adequate attention and resources currently. The timeline consideration is whether this is the right time. Maybe now is not the right time, but another time in the future would be. The specific cat consideration is whether a specific cat you are aware of is a good fit or whether you are considering an abstract concept of another cat. The motivation clarity includes being honest about your motivation. Are you expanding because you genuinely have capacity and the right cat has appeared, or are you expanding because you feel guilty about other cats? The rescue conversation is discussing honestly with a rescue about your situation, your cats, your capacity, and your home. Experienced rescue workers can help you assess whether expansion is realistic. The trial period concept is that some cats can be fostered before being formally adopted. Fostering allows assessment of whether a new cat works in your household before making a permanent commitment. Let's examine when each approach is most appropriate. Expanding is appropriate when all current cats' needs are being met excellently. You have genuine capacity for one more cat. Your home can accommodate another cat peacefully. You have assessed that a specific cat would be a good fit. Financial resources are adequate. You are expanding for genuine capacity reasons, not guilt reasons. Accepting a limit is appropriate when current cat's needs are being met, but adding another would reduce attention or resources. You are uncertain about whether you can manage another cat well. Your motivation to expand is primarily guilt-driven. You have declined expansion before and regretted compromise in care. You are at a number of cats that feels comfortable and manageable. The thought of adding another cat creates stress rather than joy. The verdict, providing excellent care for the cats you have, is a legitimate contribution to cat welfare even if you do not expand. Guilt about other adoptable cats is normal for compassionate people, but should not drive adoption decisions. Your primary responsibility is to the cats in your home. Expanding should be a positive choice based on genuine capacity, not a guilt-driven obligation. Many owners report that accepting their cat limit and committing to providing excellent care for that number of cats brought them peace. They stopped feeling guilty about not rescuing more and started genuinely enjoying their cats. One measure of responsible cat ownership is being honest about your limits and honoring them rather than overextending and providing compromised care. If you feel pressured by a rescue to adopt a cat you are uncertain about, it is okay to decline. Your home is not a rescue failure. A temporary foster to a rescue is not a rescue failure. A responsible no is better than a pressured yes that becomes a return. If the guilt about other adoptable cats becomes overwhelming, channel that compassion in other ways. Volunteer with a rescue. Donate. Advocate for policy changes. Foster. These contributions help more cats than overwhelming yourself with more than you can manage. The goal is sustainable cat care, where you and your cats thrive together long-term. That is always the appropriate choice, even if it means accepting limits despite awareness of other cats needing homes. Comparison 10. Senior cat plus young cat. Respecting needs versus forced interaction versus separating households with significant age gaps between cats face a particular challenge. A senior cat who has lived quietly in the home may have a young, energetic cat introduced, or an owner with an older cat adds a young cat, hoping they will bond and provide companionship for the senior. These age gap situations require decisions about whether to encourage interaction and bonding between cats with vastly different needs and energy levels, whether to respect that the senior and young cat have different needs and provide separate spaces, so each cat can live according to their needs, or whether to physically separate the cats for the senior cat's safety and peace. Forced interaction assumes bonding is possible and beneficial. Respecting separate needs acknowledges the cats have fundamentally different needs. Separation prioritizes the senior cat's well-being. The contrast is between optimistic bonding, accepting separate coexistence, and choosing peaceful isolation. This comparison examines age gap dynamics, what each approach involves, the senior and young cat perspectives, when cohabitation works, and when separation is more humane. Let's start with the age gap challenge and why it is significant. The age gap issue is that senior cats and young cats have fundamentally different needs, energy, levels, activity patterns, and social preferences. The senior cat's needs include rest, quiet, predictability, slow-paced interaction, reduced stress, and freedom from constant stimulation. Senior cats often want to conserve energy, nap frequently, and engage in calm activities. The young cat's needs include play, exploration, physical activity, social interaction, stimulation, and engagement. Young cats have high energy and need outlets for that energy. The incompatibility is that a young cat's normal play and activity can be stressful for a senior cat. The young cat finds the senior cat boring and may try to engage the senior cat in play the senior cat does not want. The personality factor is that some senior cats enjoy young companions, while others find them exhausting. Some young cats are gentle with seniors, while others are rough or dismissive. The timing challenge is that introducing a young cat to a senior cat's established home is disruptive for the senior cat, regardless of whether bonding eventually occurs. The research finding is that while some senior-young pairings work well, many do not, and forcing unsuccessful pairings creates stress for both cats. Now let's examine forcing interaction and what it involves. Forcing interaction means the owner actively encourages the senior and young cat to spend time together, interact, and bond. The optimistic premise is that bonding will eventually occur. The young cat will calm the senior cat. The senior cat will provide mentoring, and companionship will benefit both. The implementation includes keeping cats together despite initial distance, supervising interactions, rewarding any positive interactions, preventing separation, and hoping bonding develops over time. The benefit if bonding genuinely occurs is that both cats have companionship and may indeed support each other. The risk is that forcing interaction creates stress for the senior cat who is forced to cohabitate with a stressful stimulus. The senior cat's experience is that they are in their home that was quiet and is now disrupted. They cannot escape the young cat. Every resource must be shared or defended. Peace is compromised. The escalation pattern is that if forced cohabitation is stressful, the senior cat may become more withdrawn, may develop health issues related to stress, may show aggression or defensive behavior, or may experience declining quality of life. The time frame is that bonding takes weeks or months to develop. During that time, the senior cat is experiencing stress. The failure outcome is that after weeks of forced cohabitation, the cats still do not bond, and the senior cat has spent weeks stressed, and the young cat remains confused about why the senior cat is not engaging. Now let's examine respecting separate needs and what it involves. Respecting separate needs means acknowledging that senior and young cats have fundamentally different needs and providing separate spaces or separate schedules so each cat can live according to their needs without conflicting with the other. The practical management includes having separate areas where the senior cat can rest undisturbed, separate feeding areas to prevent resource competition, separate litter boxes to reduce territorial stress, and potentially separate sleep spaces. The supervised interaction is allowing interaction only during times when both cats seem amenable and immediately stopping if either cat shows stress. The non-forced approach is that if bonding happens naturally through this arrangement, it happens. If not, the cats coexist peacefully without bonding. The outcome is that both cats can live in the same home, but with sufficient separation that each cat's needs are met, and neither cat is stressed by the other. The senior cat's experience is that they still have their quiet spaces, their predictable routine, and protection from the young cat's constant activity. The young cat's experience is that they have enrichment and play opportunities without the senior cat and can access the shared spaces during appropriate times. The sustainability is that this approach can be maintained long-term and is often less stressful than forced bonding attempts. The honest acceptance is that the cats are housemates, not necessarily friends, and that is acceptable. Now let's examine separation and what it involves. Separation means the senior and young cats live in different areas of the home with minimal or no direct contact. This is sometimes called a split household arrangement. The management includes each cat having their own spaces, resources, and routines, with barriers preventing direct access between areas. The logistics include separate litter boxes, separate feeding areas, separate sleeping spaces, and potentially using gates or doors to limit access between areas. The supervision requirement is that barriers must be consistently maintained, and the household must be structured to prevent unintended contact. The benefit for the senior cat is maximum protection from the young cat's activity. The senior cat has complete control over their environment. The benefit for the young cat is that they can be a normal, energetic young cat without restrictions and without the senior cat's passive-aggressive withdrawal or aggression. The family consideration is that separation changes how family members interact with each cat. You cannot freely move between areas. You have two separate cat spaces to maintain. The emotional aspect is that some owners find separation emotionally difficult because they wanted the cats to bond. The reality is that clean separation is often more peaceful and successful than attempting cohabitation that does not work. Now let's examine the senior cat's perspective specifically. The senior cat's quality of life is the primary consideration because senior cats are in their declining years and quality of life matters more than novelty. The stress response in senior cats is more pronounced because they are less able to adapt to environmental changes, and stress has more significant health impacts. The health vulnerability is that stressed senior cats often develop or escalate health issues, including digestive problems, urinary issues, eating problems, or behavioral changes. The established life is that the senior cat has established their home, their routine, their preferred resting spots, and their way of life. Disruption is inherently stressful. The remaining time is that if the senior cat has limited years remaining, ensuring those years are peaceful and comfortable is more important than attempting to create a bonding situation that may fail. The voice of the senior cat, if they could speak, would likely be, "Please let me rest. Please do not force me to interact with this energetic creature. Please protect my quiet space." Now let's examine the young cat's perspective specifically. The young cat's needs for play, activity, and stimulation are real and legitimate. The engagement preference is that most young cats prefer playing with age-appropriate companions over interacting with uninterested senior cats. the confusion the young cat experiences when trying to engage an unwilling senior cat is real. The young cat does not understand why the senior cat does not want to play. The frustration the young cat experiences from unsuccessful bonding attempts is evident in many multi-age households. The healthier arrangement is that the young cat has appropriate play outlets and social engagement, whether with other young cats, with humans, or with appropriate toys and enrichment. The relief many young cats show when they have their own space where they are not constantly met with rejection is significant. Now let's examine when cohabitation works well. Cohabitation works when both cats have compatible personalities and naturally enjoy each other's company. The senior cat still has energy and interest in interaction. The young cat is relatively gentle and respectful of the senior cat's boundaries. The household is spacious enough that cats can separate if needed. The owner has capacity to manage two cats with different needs. Neither cat shows stress symptoms. Both cats are healthy enough that stress would not trigger problems. The success indicators include cats choosing to rest near each other, playing together, or at least tolerating proximity, sharing resources without tension, and both cats showing relaxed body language. The timeline is that if bonding will happen, it usually shows signs within the first 2 to 4 weeks. If the senior cat remains withdrawn or tense after this period, bonding is unlikely. Now let's examine when separation is more appropriate. Separation is more appropriate when the senior cat shows stress responses, including withdrawal, aggression, reduced eating, or changes in behavior. The young cat's activity is clearly stressful for the senior cat. The senior cat is in declining health where stress would be harmful. Previous attempts at cohabitation have failed. The owner's assessment is that these cats simply are not compatible. The senior cat's remaining quality of life would be better protected through separation. Forcing cohabitation would cause more harm than separation. The honest assessment is that you do not have to make aging senior cats live with young cats. You can choose peaceful separation. The verdict: senior cats deserve peaceful, quiet living in their final years, even if that means cohabitation with a young cat does not occur. Forced bonding between incompatible age groups creates stress that harms senior cats and frustrates young cats without creating genuine connection. Respecting separate needs through providing separate spaces allows both cats to thrive without requiring forced interaction. Separation is not failure. It is often the most humane choice for senior cats and actually improves overall household peace. Many owners report that separating a stressed senior cat from an incompatible young cat resulted in the senior cat's immediate relaxation and improved quality of life. Before introducing a young cat to a senior cat, honestly assess the senior cat's personality and remaining health. Is the senior cat truly social or simply tolerant? Would a young cat genuinely enrich their life or create stress? If you have already introduced a young cat to a senior cat and stress is evident, moving to separate living arrangements is not quitting. It is responding appropriately to the cat's needs. The young cat will thrive with appropriate play, enrichment, and human interaction, even if the senior cat is not available as a companion. The goal is that each cat lives as peacefully and comfortably as possible. Sometimes that goal is best achieved through separation, rather than forced cohabitation. Closing, you have just explored 10 different decisions about multi-cat households, 10 different scenarios where cats want different things, 10 different moments where you as an owner have to make a choice that will affect your cat's lives, your household's peace, and your own well-being. Multi-cat decisions are not simple. They are not black and white. They are not situations where one answer is always correct and the other is always wrong. Every decision in this series contained elements of truth in multiple directions. The decision to expand or accept limits has validity in both answers depending on your situation. The decision to bond senior and young cats or to separate them has validity in both approaches depending on your cat's personalities. This complexity is what makes these decisions so difficult. If there were always one right answer, the decision would be easy. Instead, there are multiple valid answers, and your job as an owner is to figure out which answer is right for your specific cats, your specific household, your specific capacity, and your specific situation. Let's take a step back and look at the entire series we have just completed. In part 1, we started at the beginning. We looked at the decision to have a cat at all versus multiple cats. We examined whether a single cat was better suited to your life or whether multiple cats would enrich your household. We looked at bringing a second cat into a single cat home. We looked at the reality that some people are single cat people, and that is completely valid. In part 2, we moved into daily life. We looked at how cats sleep together and what that means. We examined territories and privacy and how cats navigate sharing space. We looked at eating together and eating separately. These early parts establish the foundation that multi-cat households are not one thing. They are unique arrangements that depend entirely on the cats involved. In part 3, we addressed one of the most common questions. We looked at introducing cats. We examined whether slow introductions or quick introductions were better. We looked at the factors that make introductions successful or unsuccessful. We established that how you introduce cats matters, but that the cats' personalities matter even more. In part 4, we moved into the practical realities of daily management. We looked at feeding strategies, litter box setups, and water sources. We looked at how space is divided, how resources are managed, how conflicts are prevented through environmental design. We established that much of multi-cat success comes not from training, but from thoughtful environmental planning. In part 5, we looked at the cats' interior lives. We examined communication between cats, how cats read each other, how stress manifests, and what emotional dynamics exist in multi-cat homes. We looked at how cats form bonds and how those bonds vary. We established that cats have rich emotional lives, and those lives are affected by household composition. In part 6, we moved into conflict. We looked at aggression. We looked at bullying. We looked at territorial disputes, and we looked at how to address serious problems when they arise. We established that conflicts are not always solvable, and sometimes require management rather than resolution. In part 7, we looked at enrichment. We examined how to keep multiple cats engaged, how to provide sufficient activity and stimulation, and how to prevent boredom and the behavioral problems that come from inadequate enrichment. We established that enrichment is not luxury, it is necessity in multi-cat homes. In part 8, we stepped back and looked at the home itself. We examined how to modify environments, how to create vertical space, how to design homes for multiple cats, and how to think about the physical space in which cats live. We established that where cats live affects how they live. In part 9, we looked at the hardest decisions. We looked at aging, illness, end of life, and the painful choices that come with loving cats who are declining. We looked at quality of life, pain management, and the moment when cats need to be allowed to die. We established that sometimes the hardest decisions are the kindest ones. And now, in part 10, we have looked at the dynamics within multi-cat households. We have looked at when cats can share and when they cannot. We have looked at when expanding makes sense and when accepting limits is wiser. We have looked at the difficult realities of managing multiple cats with different needs, different personalities, different ages, and different circumstances. Across all 10 parts, a theme has emerged. It is not a theme of right answers. It is a theme of honest questions. The theme is that good multi-cat ownership means asking yourself hard questions and answering them honestly. Am I equipped to have multiple cats, or would I be better served with one? Are my cats bonding, or are they merely coexisting? Is my introduction process supporting successful integration or creating unnecessary stress? Do I have adequate resources for all my cats, or am I stretching myself thin? Are my cats enriched and engaged, or are they bored and frustrated? Have I designed my home thinking about cats, or have I designed it thinking about convenience? Is my aging cat suffering, and am I prolonging suffering or supporting life? Can my senior cat coexist peacefully with my young cat, or would they both be better served with separation? Do I have capacity for more cats, or have I reached my honest limit? These are not easy questions. They require self-awareness. They require honesty. They require the willingness to admit when something is not working, or when you have overextended yourself. Many owners avoid these questions. It is easier to have a multi-cat household that is chaotic and conflicted than to admit that maybe fewer cats would serve everyone better. It is easier to keep expanding and hoping bonding will occur than to accept that the cats you have are at their limit. It is easier to continue with a situation that is not working than to make changes. But your cats cannot change the situation themselves. They cannot tell you that the household is too overwhelming. They cannot tell you that they need more space. They cannot tell you that they would prefer to be in a single cat home. They cannot tell you that they would rather have less individual attention spread among fewer cats than inadequate attention spread among many. Your cats depend on you to ask these questions. Your cats depend on you to answer them honestly. Your cats depend on you to make changes when the current situation is not working. Across this entire series, a secondary theme has also emerged. It is the theme of acceptance. Accepting that your cats are individuals with their own preferences. Accepting that not all cats will bond. Accepting that some cats need more attention than you can provide. Accepting that your capacity has limits. Accepting that sometimes the kindest decision is to separate cats that do not thrive together. Accepting that you cannot rescue every cat. Accepting that sometimes the right decision makes you sad. This acceptance is not resignation. It is not giving up. It is the opposite. It is actively choosing what is best for your cats, even when that choice is hard. You are the guardian of your cat's well-being. That guardianship requires that you see them clearly. You see their personalities. You see their needs. You see their struggles. You see the things that make them happy and the things that stress them. That clear seeing sometimes leads to making changes. It sometimes leads to accepting that something that looked good on paper does not work in reality. It sometimes leads to difficult decisions, but it always leads to better outcomes for your cats. Throughout this series, we have looked at decisions across the spectrum. We have looked at situations where expanding is absolutely the right choice because you have the capacity and the right cats have appeared. We have looked at situations where accepting limits is absolutely the right choice because you have reached your honest threshold. We have looked at situations where bonding between cats is beautiful and successful. We have looked at situations where separation is more humane than forced cohabitation. And we have tried to give you frameworks for figuring out which situation you are in. Ask yourself, do I have genuine capacity for my current number of cats? If the answer is no, then accepting limits or reducing numbers is probably appropriate. Ask yourself, are my cats thriving or are they stressed? If they are stressed, something needs to change. Ask yourself, is my motivation coming from genuine readiness or from guilt? If it is guilt, it is probably not the right decision. Ask yourself, what would my cats choose if they could? Would they choose to bond or would they choose separation? Ask yourself, am I being honest or am I rationalizing? These questions are hard. The answers are sometimes harder. But this is the work of cat guardianship. This is what it means to truly care for cats. It means seeing them clearly. It means making choices that serve them even when those choices are difficult for you. As we close this series, I want to leave you with several core principles that have threaded through all 10 parts. Principle 1. Cats are individuals. Not all cats are suited to multi-cat households. Not all cats will bond with every other cat. Not all cats have the same needs. Your job is to see the individual cat and honor their individual needs. Principle 2. Capacity is real. You have genuine limits. You have limits on time, energy, money, and space. Acknowledging those limits is not failure. It is honesty. Principle 3. Quality matters more than quantity. One cat receiving excellent care is better served than 3 cats receiving compromised care. always. Principle 4. Decisions are ongoing. The decision you made when you brought a cat home is not the final decision. As circumstances change, as cats age, as your capacity shifts, you may need to make new decisions. That is okay. Principle 5. Honesty is kindness. Being honest about what is and is not working is the most kind thing you can do for your cats. Principle 6. Some decisions have no perfect answer. Many of the decisions in this series do not have a single right answer. Your job is to choose the answer that is most aligned with your cat's well-being and your honest capacity. Principle 7. Guilt is not a reliable guide. Guilt tells you that you should want more, do more, stretch further. Cats do not need your guilt. They need your clear thinking and your authentic care. As you move forward with your multi-cat household, or as you contemplate changes, I invite you to return to these principles. I invite you to ask yourself the hard questions. I invite you to answer them honestly. Your cats will thank you. Maybe not in ways you can recognize, maybe not in obvious ways, but in their peace, in their contentment, in their ability to rest and be themselves. Your cats will thank you for seeing them clearly and making choices in service of their well-being. This series has covered decisions about expanding and contracting, about bonding and separating, about medical crises and behavioral challenges, about aging and end of life. We have covered the spectrum of multi-cat decisions. What we have not done is told you what to do. What we have done is given you frameworks for thinking about these decisions. What we have done is validated that these decisions are hard. What we have done is suggested that your honest assessment is more valuable than any rule we could give you. As we close this series, I also want to acknowledge that you have shown up for this content. You are thinking about multi-cat dynamics. You are considering these decisions. You are trying to do right by your cats. That matters. The fact that you care enough to watch a 10-part series about multi-cat decisions tells me that you are a thoughtful cat guardian. You're the kind of person who asks questions. You are the kind of person who is willing to acknowledge when something is not working. You are the kind of person who will make hard decisions if those decisions serve your cat's well-being. Your cats are lucky to have you. In the coming weeks and months, we will be releasing additional content focused on specific topics identified throughout this series. We will be exploring the themes that emerged across these 10 parts in greater depth. We will be providing more specific guidance about particular situations that many of you are navigating. In the meantime, I encourage you to reflect on your own multi-cat household. I encourage you to ask yourself the questions we have raised. I encourage you to be honest about what is working and what is not. And I encourage you to make whatever changes are necessary to ensure that all of your cats are thriving. Thank you for watching this entire series. Thank you for caring about your cats enough to think deeply about their needs and their well-being. Thank you for being the kind of guardian that asks hard questions and makes difficult decisions when necessary. Your cats are home with you because you love them. That love is best expressed through clear seeing, honest assessment, and courageous choices. That is the essence of great multi-cat guardianship. That is what we hope you will take from this series.